So today I have the pleasure of hosting a Kolkata chartered accountant who went ahead and did a 1-year MBA from IE Business School, Spain. So welcome to the show, Prateek. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Hi Anurag, good evening. Wish you thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak to you to have a conversation. It's entirely my pleasure, my honor to be actually interviewed by you, and you have been a role model for most of the chartered accountants whom I know, whom I have met, and giving me this opportunity. It's actually an honor for me to speak to you. Thank you very much.
All right. So before we head into the MBA part, which I would really be making the focus point of this interview, you did your CA and had a very good career in Big Four. In first, you were in audit in EY for a couple of months probably, and then you shifted to PwC in direct taxes. So life would have been quite good, right? A decade in Big Four, you'd have been sure shot partner, and so then why did as a taxation, the advantage is that you really don't need to top it up with an MBA. As a CA, you can really rise to the partner level and do well. So then, what were the thoughts that behind not pursuing
Right.
CA? So tell us about that taxation life first.
Right. So as you said, life was pretty much comfortable in a big four. Pretty much, I was pretty much happy climbing the corporate world, the corporate ladder. Taxation, as you know, or as everyone sees, it's pretty much comfortable from outside, but it's not really the fact. There's a lot of hard work involved. Many of us perceive taxation as something like it's just you give an opinion on some tax matters, but it's not really like that. You have to get down, do the dirty work. There are a lot of compliance issues, especially in the country that we live in the economic scenario that the entire world operates into. A lot of compliance issues, a lot of litigation. Yes, advisory is there to top it on, but it's not really the ideal utopian world where we all live in. So at times it might really get boring. Not that it is not interesting, but is it like what I wanted to do throughout my life, or maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line? I thought that no, I might actually be more focused, more interested, and more inclined towards the business part, towards the main operations part of any business that is. So that actually made me shift from the core taxation job and the core CA profile to a more business focused focused profile, and that is what exactly I've been doing as of now. I've been enjoying it really.
All right, makes sense. So taxation is probably not as rosy also as it sounds. So okay.
Well,
So coming to the
that
MBA
is
part,
always like that.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
As you say,
always
grass is always greener on the other side. I have been on the other side and I've crossed that and I'm back here. So I know the
yeah,
reality.
absolutely. So because I just share a personal reflection. So 1 year into my job in Tata Steel, way back in 2008-9, I was not very happy with that job of financial planning analysis, which was ideally a coveted job for chartered accountants. I really wanted to shift to taxation. And
Right.
on the other side of the story, there are people who want to shift from taxation to finance. So one lesson that we can draw is that, in our careers, everyone is probably searching for the grass on the other side. So you should talk to the people who have actually tasted it or seen it there. Now coming to
We have
MBA,
tasted it. We have tasted it. We have gulped it down. We have digested it, and then we are again next to our next set of meals.
absolutely. So this Birla High boy from
Yeah.
Kolkata settled in Bangalore after his CA, well settled, decided to go for an MBA. So logical questions, why a 1 year MBA instead of the 2 year MBA? And if yes, the 1 year MBA, why not an IIM Ahmedabad PGPX or an ISB? Why IE Business School, Europe?
Right. So I'll answer your question in two parts, as you have mentioned. One is why the 1 year MBA versus a 2 year MBA. So see, I was having a three and a half year of work ex prior to my MBA, and that I thought is a good enough stepping stone for me to actually see the next part of the corporate journey, next part of the business. A 2 year, according to me, and that's my all personal opinion, 2 years is something too much for someone who has spent three and a half years in a corporate, especially in something like Big Four, where I have actually gained a good experience. So I thought that okay, 1 year should be good enough for me to invest. Pretty safe. I couldn't have actually for to keep myself out from the job market for 2 years. So I thought that this 1 year part, especially where I'm actually because see, you are already there in the middle management position, right? You're not starting afresh, right from fresh out of college, like typically how Indian B schools are there. 2 years, 2 year PGP programs, which are the flagship programs. You know, most of the crowd you see, they are just college pass outs. You know, they've done just their undergrad and then they after their engineering, mostly engineers. You know, after the engineering, they're right into their B school. So I wanted to be in a class with more experienced people, 5, 7, 10 years down the line experience. There have been people who have been CEOs, CXOs at my B school in Spain. So that actually what I was looking for, and hence I thought of taking up a 1 year MBA. Coming back to your next question, which is why a foreign B school such as IE Business School in Spain and not something like the PGPX in Ahmedabad or even the ISB, the flagship ISB course, which is there. So, see, I'd studied, I'd worked all my life in India. I had actually gained a good number of years of work ex, good experience interacting with Indians and the Indian working culture, the style, and all that. And I wanted a foreign flavor actually, so as to how the world operates, how the business across geographies operate. So I thought this is a good way to actually go out and see what is happening there. Definitely, India has a good diversity when it comes to cultural differences, cultural or diversity in the mindset, diversity in tuning, diversity in interactions. But when you are interacting with people across the globe, it's really a different experience. And I'll give you an example. Something like, for example, if we are to discuss inflation. So we all understand what inflation is. The Japanese don't understand what inflation is. The Kuwaitis don't know what inflation is. There are different tactics of how to manage and how to actually counter and how to understand inflation. That is. So when you are in a class with people who are 7, 8, 10 years work ex, pretty much senior to you, who have climbed the corporate ladder, who are looking for a different corporate ladder now, you get to learn a lot from them, especially from within your code. Because professors, books, case studies, they are pretty much normal. Education these days is not actually difficult to obtain. Knowledge these days is not difficult to obtain, but it is all about the experiences which you learn. And why specifically IE Business School? So there was there was this one B school in Europe, which is IE, which I was most focused on. That especially because its core focus in development of entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial spirit. So Indian B schools, how I used to pursue and I still pursue, that has not changed over a period of time. They are typically placement agencies, if you call it that way. Many people get into an MBA, an Indian MBA, mostly because they either want to actually have a good career shift or they actually want to bump up their current earnings or whatever they call it. They may actually frame it in a nice, rosy manner, but that is the reality is what I have faced. My friends, my relatives, colleagues, that way. I wanted to get out of this. I wanted to invest myself and invest my time in gaining some proper education, gaining some proper entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurial mindset development, and gaining knowledge from the cohort of my class, the diversity which was there in school. Hence, I thought of taking this course at IE, and here I am pretty much enjoying every day post IE during IE.
So tell us a bit about the application process and all, because there will be many viewers who might be as aspirational as you, but are kind of stuck that sitting in India. How do you apply to a European B school? What is the GMAT score required? How do you write those essays? Do you take professional help? So just quickly, if you could just touch upon that.
Right, sure. Application process is pretty much standard as in any other foreign B school. So the admission is through GMAT. IE specifically has another exam which is IE GMAT, if I'm not wrong. That's the term. So they have their own GMAT, and there's this normal GMAT which is common across all B schools across the globe. So you have to appear for that. I appeared for the GMAT. The GMAT score is not much relevant at IE because it ranges from 500 to 750. So there's a huge range you see even amongst the top B schools. That is not really the range which you will witness. But I had people who had scored 500 in my class. I had people who had scored 750, 780, if I'm not wrong, if I recall correctly.
So
That
it's not
is
like India that
particularly
you are a
because
cutoff
IE does not mean
90%, 99 percentile and above. Like India is, there is this rat race,
there
right?
is no cutoff. There is no cutoff. I never Right. Definitely. I never had a 90% plus in my class 10, class 12. I was not a 3.8 pointer GPA in my undergrad. I never had a rank in CA. I just barely managed to pass. So I'm coming from a pretty average education background, pretty rich professional background, if I'll say like that. And so IE with IE, it is just that it does not lay much stress, much weightage on the GMAT score, but rather on the professional experiences, on the value that one can bring in a class, and the diversity that one can add in a class. So and the application process, it was a standard 3-pointer essay, specifically discussing about what you have generally done in life, how do you pursue MBA, and what future plans do you have post your MBA, and how you can add value to the IE community, so on and so forth. So it was a pretty standard, a pretty simple 3-pointer essay application. Yes, I did take professional help, not because of IE, but because of the other B schools that I was also targeting as my backup plans, if you can say it that way. Uh, Taking a professional help does not mean I cannot do it myself. It is just that the professional, basically, it helps me keep disciplined. It helps me keep informed of the different requirements, because time is always short. You're working, you are studying. You don't really, you're studying for GMAT. Basically, you are working in office. You don't really have time to write an essay. And once you appoint a consultant, basically, he's nothing but someone with a rod, with a stick. So he'll run around you to chase timelines. He'll run around you to finish your essays on time, and he'll give you fresh perspective from the adcoms, from the adcom view. So yes, professional help was there. Another good thing about IE is IE interviews everyone. Interview rate at IE is pretty much high, unless you have seriously goofed up in your application. So and the reason behind is they would want to actually interact with everyone before they decide. So for example, even if I have a 500 GMAT, I'll still get an interview call from IE, and post the interactions, then only there'll be a decision as to whether I'll be given an admit or not. And the interviews basically are generally the alumni which are there around in your country, or even closer to your country, specifically who have worked similar to your profile, and who have had career aspirations similar to yours. So basically, it's a close match to what you have been doing and what you want to do. So that way they keep it pretty much aligned, and hence the interview process is pretty much simple and standard that is.
So then, tell us about your campus life. What was your batch strength? How many nationalities? What did you enjoy? You also had a stint in HKUST in Hong Kong, and you were quite shuffling
Right,
between the two campuses. So just tell us quickly about that
right,
as well.
right. Well, so the MBA program at IE is a 1-year course, and which is divided into different terms, including the elective term. I did my elective term, which is around a 4-month course at HKUST, majoring in finance. So I've always wanted to come back to India, in and around India, closer to home. HKUST being a wonderful B school, especially in majoring in finance, that was my dream come true. And I took up most of the electives there, something related to private equity, mergers, acquisitions, valuations, corporate finance, negotiations. That is one part. The other reason for me to choose HKUST, in addition to what I was already doing in Spain, that was because in Spain, or basically in any European B school, the businesses that we are taught about, it's majorly focusing on the US, basically the American style of business, the European style of business. When you come back to HKUST, I'm seeing the Chinese, the Indian, and basically the Asian style of business. So that ways I'm covering the entire globe. I'm not telling that I've been an expert in worldwide businesses, but basically you get to hear perspectives from two different professors from focusing on two different ideologies. The Chinese style of doing business is just totally different from the Japanese style, and totally different from the American style of doing business. That was one learning which I got. Telling about my class experiences and my life at IE. We had a batch of around 330 during my time, including the Spanish track. So the English track was around 270 odd students. 270 odd students were coming from around maybe 90 plus nationalities. My class had around 50, 55 students, and coming from around 37, 38 nationalities. So you see the diversity which is there. There were people from some countries which I've not even heard of. I mean, it was pretty much embarrassing for me at times to actually go out and say that, I'm from India, and where are you from? And then they'll take up some name, and I have not even heard of that country. I don't even know where to point that on the map. So in addition to the cultural and the geographical diversity, there was also professional diversity. For example, we were a group of 7 people there are work groups in MBAs. So we are a group of 7 people coming from 7 different nationalities, 7 different education backgrounds, and 7 different professional backgrounds. So it is pretty much challenging for the school to actually ensure such diversity in a class, in a cohort exists. And that is the essence of the learning lies.
All right. And so then about the placements part. Acha, first the cost part. How much does it cost to do an MBA in the Europe?
It was approximately, if I recall, it was approximately 70,000 euros was the tuition fees. And then you can add around a 25,000 for living. And you will definitely travel once you are in Europe, you become a globetrotter. The wanderlust will strike you. So it must be around 95,000, easily 95,000 euros. You
So
can
which
say.
is around like 65, 70 lakhs. But if you compare Prateek with India also, so ISB has also
Mhm.
started charging around in the 35 to 40 lakh range. I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore
Right.
also charge like 30, 30-ish. So that way it is not like exorbitantly priced as compared to India. It's like 2x for right. So a lot of people feel that it's if it's European, it means like it is super costly. And do you get loan for this?
Yeah, definitely. I took a loan for that, and
It's
I
INR
took
or
a
dollar?
and I took an INR loan. I wanted tax benefits back here, back home, so I took an INR loan, a dollar loan. I'm glad I did not take it, especially seeing the current forex rates. I'm glad I did not take a dollar loan.
So the interest rates
But
there is
Anurag, I'll tell you, I'll tell you one thing. So people generally make this mistake of taking a dollar loan because the interest rates are low, but they generally tend to forget the forex fluctuations which are there, the tax benefits which are there, and that is one part. The other part that you have to consider is INR loan. Basically, INR loan you'll get from Indian banks, so you have to keep a security, right? With dollar loans, you might not even be required to keep a security. For example, something like Prodigy Finance, they give you a mortgage basis your degree. You don't actually have to keep any mortgage. So I was fortunate enough to have some of my savings. I had my family's backing to keep a security, and hence I managed to do that. But someone who's not, I would say someone who's not blessed enough will definitely want to go for a dollar loan and may approach Prodigy Finance, and it's absolutely fine because tax benefits and forex fluctuation, those criteria are actually not that important as of now, or during that moment when you're actually deciding to invest in your education. It is more important to actually get that education first.
now coming to the placements part. As you said, like you are having this notion that Indian B schools have eventually turned up to be like placement factories. That you join a 25 lakh course, you'll get a 50 lakh placement. So by that logic, if you join a 70 lakh MBA in Europe, then you will get like a 1.5 crores job out there.
I just wish it was even half as true as what you said. Statistics is the biggest lie that one can speak of. So, see, the foreign B schools, they don't really act like placement agencies. There is no placement season. There are no companies who are coming down who are interviewing people in one day, and then you will not see newspapers flagging out like flashing news like 2 days 100% placements and so on and so forth. It's never like that. Um, and it's not because of my. I mean, it's not peculiar of my school. I have friends in Harvard, Walton, Stanford, INSEAD, and you name the top these schools. I've known people there, and the situation is almost the same everywhere. They don't really have 100% placements. They don't really have B schools coming there and just fishing for students. The typical scenario there is like you have to create your own network. You have to reach out to the alumni. You have to reach out to the corporates there. Build your own network back home, back there, interact with students, interact with professors, and get your own placement. Placement, yes, it's difficult. ROI wise, it is a bit challenging, but in the long run, it all pays off actually. If you just compare the placement scenario, and then definitely there is the Indian counterparts will win as against their foreign counterparts. But if you see the long-term scenario, I think you'll not be making a wrong decision, or you'll not be making a decision which is drastically different that can actually destroy. It's not really like that.
Okay, then back to India post your MBA, and so you dabbled a lot with the typical startup support services, etc. in the course of your job search. So tell us more about that consulting part of your life where you were an independent entrepreneur.
Right. So the startup bug hit me during 2014-15 era during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Startup India policy and all had come up. I was fortunate enough to work during my Big Four days on some of these policies. And that's when I decided that, okay, this is really interesting. I was doing some part of it prior to my MBA also. And when I was back in India, in fact, even during my MBA, I was pretty much associated with all these startups. So there was this food tech startup which I was consulting for, and especially basically on the fundraising and the investment part. Then there was this travel tech startup for where I had built a business plan. So interacting with all these startups, I did realize that you can do a lot for them, um, right from the strategy part to the marketing to the tech part, the finance, which obviously was my core strength, and hence I was more directed towards that work. Uh, Typical challenge that lies in working along with these startups is the whole dynamic thing, because one fine evening you might be getting a call mentioning a requirement, and tomorrow morning you wake up, you finish something, half of it. By the afternoon, you see that the requirement has completely changed, because we all are learning. Be it the founders, the investors, the employees, we all are learning there. And that's what actually was a bit difficult there. Working along with early stage startups, it's a huge risk. I think I mean, statistics say that betting in a casino is more worthwhile than investing in a startup. So be it in your time, be it your money, I think you have to play you have to play the game. It's a double whammy sword, actually.
Yeah, because I have also interacted with a lot of startups. They tell us that you make the business plan for us, the funding pitch. We will pay you if we get funding. I mean, that is the kind of willingness to pay which they have. So as if I have no other work in the world but to bet on their fortunes. So, so be it. So then PI industries happened. So tell us more about this role
Yes.
here. You interact with the MBBs of the world. What do? You drive strategy there. So you're basically applying all that you learned in B school probably, right? And the best of
Uh, I think I am applying everything that I've learned in life into my job, and I am applying everything that I learn in my job in my life. Is that how I put it? So yes, I am in the corporate strategy division, and I'm in the director's office, assisting them in strategic initiatives such as mergers, acquisitions, process improvements, cost optimization, new product development. You can name it. Anything that lands into the chairman and the CEO's inbox is basically my to-do list. I don't really have a profile. And the fun part is I'm not restricting myself into any particular function, any particular division. The challenging part is itself the same, that anything can come flying from anywhere. One fine morning I'm seeing that there's some tech requirement. Another fine morning I'm seeing there's some supply chain issue because of COVID coronavirus. Then I'm seeing there are finances. Then I'm seeing that the new strategic initiative. Then I'm evaluating a new potential target for an M&A. You never know. So anything can happen during the day. I don't have a typical 8 hour or 10 hour work day at all.
for the uninitiated, PI Industries is there in the agri-chemical space, Prateek, right? And it has
Right,
created
that's correct.
super wealth for shareholders. So if you track their share price from a like 70 odd kind of a number, they had gone up to 1600. Right now, even in the current blood path, they're still strong at 1085. So this stock has actually created a lot of wealth, Prateek. And I think I might consider that if PI has got such able people on the work front, so there is further wealth that needs to be created there. That will be created for sure. All right.
Well, with this comment, I definitely would want to take you out for dinner or lunch, maybe. It depends. But yes, the company has been doing great. Fundamentals have been going strong, especially because of a strong promoter-driven company, a strong senior leadership, and a great vision. It's a wonderful company to work with. New challenges every day, and you will never feel tired. You will never feel bored. That's the fun part of this job, and that's the fun part of this company.
Tell us about your engaging management consultants out here, because that is a dream job for a lot of people. How is it like? Is it as glamorous their life as much as you would think? And do they work like crazily long hours? Do they deliver on output in very flashy PowerPoints? What exactly does this world entail? Because I've just
Well,
heard.
we all say that we did our MBA in PPT. So PowerPoint is an unavoidable task, unavoidable tool basically in your day-to-day life. I don't know how many PPTs I create in a day. Uh, and yes, the glamorous part, I don't know what exactly how do you connect glamorous to a particular profile or to a particular sector or the consultant's life that is. But yes, it's when I say glamorous, I need to say that they are encountering themselves with interesting problems day in day out. It's wonderful to work along with them. They're one of those brightest people that I've seen across. all coming from the top-notch institutions of our country, be it the engineering ones, be it the management ones. They have wonderful experiences. They have done like superb job. So you interact with them, you learn through them on a daily basis. Consulting was so when I was a B school student, getting into these MBBs was always a dream. Uh, for some reason, it could not happen. And when I come back, when I'm interacting with them or as a part of my work, that dream I'm living it here. I'm learning not only by being a part of PI, but also being a part of one of those MBBs, one of those consultancies. So basically, it's wonderful to be along with them. Jazzy PPTs, yes, they are wonderful in those PPTs, but that's actually their communication tool. Data crunching, wonderful abilities, interpersonal communication, personality, uh, crunching numbers, you name it, and they have all the skills. That is.
Tell us the dark side of management
The
consulting.
dark side. The dark side is pretty dark actually. They don't really get to sleep for more than 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. I think they do. I don't think so. They sleep more than 5. They sleep for more than 5 days, 5 hours a day, and extensive travel is involved. I think they are taking maybe 8 to 10 flights a week. They don't really get to see their families. It's pretty much difficult at times. I know of a consultant who gets to meet his wife only at the airport because both of them are consultants. One of the MBBs, the other another of the MBBs. So it's like, hey, what's up? Long time no see at the airport. So
Oh
that's the dark
God.
side. But it's a it's a fantastic learning experience. Is how I would put it that way.
And they are demanding clients like you who would be wanting to extract full value for the money that they are paying. So that pressure will always be there of expectations.
Well, we are demanding because they have been demanding a hefty sum. So we actually have to make justice that way. Otherwise, we not be there in the business, and the stock price that you see will come down.
Yeah. So Prateek, so now let's say we survive the Corona era. So what is your vision 2030?
Vision 2030 is too much to speak for as of now. We are even
Yeah, one
actually,
you'll get
we are
married.
contemplating.
One you'll get married. But yeah,
Oh
beyond
my
that.
God. I think this conversation is just losing track, especially when it comes to my marriage. So it looks like Anurag has been chasing me for marriage, but considering the PR that Anurag does for me, it is very difficult for me to get married here, especially in this era. I think I have to take birth in some new era, new yug and all that, and then I have to actually pray for marriage. So when I'll be getting married, the best person to answer this is Anurag himself.
And what about your career aspirations? You want to move
Well, so
into
I've been
strategy or something else now? Corporate finance, fundraising. I mean, you're doing a bit of
so
everything.
so I am already into strategy, and so strategy is not one function, right? It's a mix of all other functions. We work along with different corporate functions such as finance, such as supply chain, sales, marketing, tech, digital initiatives, manufacturing, procurement. You call it, and we work along with everything. So it's a pretty fantastic profile to work in. I have been. It's been a it's been six odd months for me with PI, and I have done almost I've interacted with almost every function head, business head that ways. And most of my assignments are related to the strategic initiatives. I've been involved in an M&A transaction. You get to learn a lot when you are especially buying companies, selling companies that way. So it's pretty much interesting for me. The investment part of it. So how I put this is finance is my core strength, but the overall business and the strategy is where I'm also interested in. So I use finance as a tool, as an analytical tool for to evaluate different business problems.
So, two quick questions. One, what do you do for fun? And two, in spite of having such a hectic work life, how are you still not pot bellied? So, what do you do for fitness?
So I think I am God gifted. I'll answer your second question first. I'm God gifted that I'm not pot bellied. I can eat the world and I'll still be lean as ever. So that is how I am. So I really don't have to work out. I really don't have to work hard to remain fit that way. And see, life is pretty much fun. I have segregated hours. I have dedicated times for work. And when I'm off work, I'm actually totally focused into my fun part. I love socializing. I love traveling. I've been to, I think, more than 19, 20 countries, and I don't know how many cities, and I plan to touch 30 soon. So let's see when that happens. I'm an avid traveler, be it India, be it abroad. Every weekend you will see me. I'll just pack my bags Friday evening, Thursday evening. I don't know when. I'll pack my bags and I'll just leave. So it's wonderful that way. It's fun part that way. Uh, uh, so it's all about the support that you get from your colleagues, from your friends also. So pretty much sorted in life that way.
All right. So Prateek, amazing journey. Started with Birla High, Kolkata. Then I think you went to Bombay for graduation.
Yes, so I till class 12, till my schooling, I was in Calcutta. Then 5 years I was in Mumbai. I did my CA, CS, articleship, my college, my BCom from Bombay for 5 years. For 2.5, 3 years, I was in Bangalore, and then I moved back to Calcutta before moving abroad for my MBA.
And then now you're in Gurgaon, and now because of the Corona scare, you are in Calcutta. So it's been quite
Yes, definitely. So I've touched all four corners of our country. So you see how much I love traveling and how much I love interacting with different categories of people that we.
no, yeah, it has been immense pleasure seeing the travel log of your during that 1 year MBA. You were sometimes in Spain, and suddenly you would see that you're in Hong Kong and otherwise traveling somewhere. And quite a good one. So the final question, Prateek. So for chartered accountants who want to top it up with an MBA, that question is: does MBA really help? When they should go for it? Your final thoughts. I mean, just summing it up.
Right. So does MBA really help? Yes, and that is only if you have the need and if you really think that that MBA will add value, because you're investing time, you're investing resources. If you really want to do something which you could have done while being a CA, just a CA, then you really don't need an MBA. As I said, don't consider these schools as placement agencies because you will not go far in your life that way. You can get a good placement even when you are a chartered accountant. You see chartered accountants have done wonderfully well in their lives. There are people who are not even chartered accountants who are just BCom grads, college dropouts. They've done fantastically that way. During my interaction with startup founders, I've seen you see uh, education wise they're coming from any normal B school or any basically normal engineering colleges, and they have achieved accolades in their life. So if you really feel the need of doing an MBA, then you should plan, then you should think, and then you should invest. Just for the tag of it, just because the world around you is rushing to a B school, that does not mean that you really need an MBA.
All right. Thank you so much, Prateek, for sparing time out. I'm sure your mom is using you adequately for washing utensils and doing the cleaning of the floor and all during this Corona scare. Your maids are coming.
No, we have given an off to our mates. It's really not safe for them as well as for us to actually have them at our place here. So it's all us, and we are learning day in, day out, and the challenges, the difficulties that the women at our places go through. We have been trying to share the workload also. So that way is yes, it's a learning phase here also. You see.
And imagine if you were in Spain at this point of time.
If I'll tell you something. I was in Spain. The Catalonia protest started. I left Spain. I went to Hong Kong. I left Hong Kong. The crisis, the civil war, basically the war with the uprising, the Hong Kong uprising started. I left Hong Kong. I came back to India. This coronavirus spread across the world. I went to Delhi. You see the NRC, CA process, protests and all have been happening. So you see, I leave geographies, I leave cities, I leave countries, and there is something something for the world to witness that way.
Oh my God, immensely. So I will leave your LinkedIn description, the profile comment in the description section, and the audience. Prateek is the go-to guy for anything under the sun. I mean, and you've seen the kind of experience that he brings on the table, and the best part is that he also believes in mentoring youngsters so that they can also get that candid advice about their career decision. So thank you so much, Prateek, for being on the show. And I'm off to
Thank
wash
you.
utensils in my kitchen. So see you
I'm
later.
off to chopping vegetables, Anurag. So you see, let's see who does it first.
Yeah, sure. All right. Thank you so much. Bye bye.